lot of people feel content with their English skills, which I think is good. And they want to do more, but they can't really find the answer to the question why I need to do more.
I don't stop learning. And maybe deep down I'm still insecure. Is my English good enough to talk to native speakers? But instead, communication is a given and taken thing. And just for the reasons to speak, you need to listen first.
How do you combine now all these other jobs? Maybe it's a question, and maybe I think what I really want to ask is, how do you find the time for all your passions?
If you're not inspired, if you don't know why you're doing something, you'll get tired. Not immediately, but after some time, you'll get tired.
Hello guys, I'm Natalia, and today I want to introduce Daria to you. We decided to do an interview and talk about a lot of different things that we hope other language learners can relate to. And if you're not a language learner, if you are somebody who likes learning, somebody who also has a lot of passions and a lot of interests in life, I think this interview is going to be interesting for you. I've known Daria for, I think, 4 years now. She's a student of mine and a friend as well. And we decided to do just a casual interview to talk about things that matter. If you could introduce yourself real quick, that would be great.
With pleasure. Hello guys, I'm Daria, and I'm currently working as a flight attendant in one of the biggest air companies in Europe. But other than being a flight attendant, I'm passionate about journalism and teaching children English, and this is what I'm also doing. And another interesting fact about me is that I've been doing artistic gymnastics for more than 10 years. And now I'm taking advantage of that knowledge. And every Saturday I teach kids how to jump the trampoline. I've known Natalia for more than 4 years, as she mentioned before. In 2018, I attended the international conferences in Bangkok and San Francisco as a presenter. And Natalia helped me a lot in working with my presentation, in practicing my presentation, and working with ideas I need to speak about. And I'm really happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to talking to you.
Yeah, me too. Thank you very much for this introduction. I remember, yes, when we first met, you were getting ready for those conferences in Bangkok, San Francisco, in Greece, right? Athens, Greece. And in my mind, in my head, you were a journalist, right? Because you were attending journalism conferences devoted to journalism. You were talking about your journalism experience. And in my head, you were a journalist. So I was a bit surprised to learn later that you're also a flight attendant, that you do gymnastics, that you do so many other different things. And it was interesting because I can absolutely relate. I've always felt that having many different passions and talents is the right thing, but I also felt a lot of social pressure, let's say growing up and even later when I just started my career, that you can't be many things. You have to choose. You have to choose what you are. If you are a teacher, don't show your artwork. Okay. Or if you have to decide from the very start which side you want to project to the world, and then all the other sides and all the other parts need to be suppressed or hidden somewhere. Have you ever felt something similar? Have you ever felt the need to choose what your career is going to look like, or what kind of person you need to be, and what mask you need to wear when you're in a social group? And you need to be careful not to show all the other masks, right? Because I just feel it's so intrinsically wrong to demand from people that they need to choose only one side and they need to project on one part of themselves. Multi-passionate individuals are it's not a rare thing. I think a lot of people share a lot of passions. Have you felt that pressure as well?
I agree with you that society puts a lot of pressure on us. They expect us to choose one road forever. And when we turn 16, the society wants us to attend the university, to choose our career path and follow it through our life. It's like you come to this factory, you work for, I don't know, 30, 35, 40 years, then you retire, and that's it. I believe that's not right. And a lot of people have multiple passions. And if I'm a teacher, it doesn't mean that I cannot be an athlete or a painter or a flight attendant or, I don't know, something else. It doesn't matter. When I started my career, very early. I was only 18 when I started working. Why it happened? Because I attended a distance learning program in Kazan State University. I didn't have the good grades, so I had to choose the distance learning program instead of the full-time one. And I started working as a specialist of press service. I was responsible for interviewing coaches, athletes, promoting healthy lifestyles, organizing press conferences, some events, and so on. I enjoyed doing that, but deep down I always knew that it's just a temporary thing.
So you knew right from the start that you were going to change that job?
Yes and no. Yes, because I thought, okay, it's good to do right now, but I don't see myself doing this stuff for the whole life. And the idea of changing my career path came with the idea of moving to another city. As I said, I was born in a small town called Yeshkarala, but I always saw myself in St. Petersburg. This was my big dream. I fell asleep with this idea. I woke up with this idea. I just wanted to go there and start a new life there. It was not escaping from myself. It was the idea of living in my dream city and living the life I wanted to live. And in 2011, I decided to go ahead and do that. And at that time, I decided to do a little bit more in journalism, and I started working as a correspondent in one of the local TV channels in St. Petersburg.
How long did you do that in St. Petersburg?
I've been doing that for more than 3 years.
Oh, then you stopped, right?
Then I moved to Moscow.
Oh, okay. So did you enjoy that more than being a press secretary? Or
definitely.
What was your first job in
press secretary?
Yeah,
you're right. Of course, I enjoyed it much more, and I felt a lot more helpful for people than being a press secretary.
Is this the driving ambition?
Yes, and I was responsible for covering stories about social issues, about medical care, about charity, and so on. And I always try to be helpful for people, for animals, for society. And this is the job I really helped in some ways. Like, for example, once I was able to cover the story about an animal shelter, and a black dog called Lady attracted my attention. The volunteers told me her story. They found her in the forest, attached to the tree, starving to death, and they rescued this dog. She impressed me, and I covered the story about her, making her the main hero of my story. After 3 weeks from my story popped up on the TV screen, the volunteers contacted me on social media, and they asked me, "Do you remember that black dog lady?" I said, "Okay, of course, I remember her. How is she doing?" They said, "Do you remember that she was found in the forest? Now she found a new home."
Oh, someone adopted her, right?
Yeah, someone adopted her, and her new owner saw that story on the TV screen and decided to give this dog a new home. And this was so impressive, so amazing, that thanks to me, one destiny has changed.
Is that the driving force in your life, to be helpful, that determines your career path?
Definitely. In general, I'm into charity. I try to donate blood every 3 months. And when I go to St. Petersburg, I try always to come to that animal shelter. We became friends. And being helpful is the main idea of how I choose jobs. Like, for example, now I'm a flight attendant, and this illustrates good the idea of being helpful, because this is all about service, about making people feel comfortable.
How did you understand that you want to become a flight attendant? Did you have a role model growing up? Did you see it on TV? I mean, how did you come up with this idea?
Absolutely not. I didn't see it on TV. I didn't have any role models, because in Yashkarola there is even no airport. So
you didn't have this growing up, right? You didn't have this.
I didn't even think of that. That idea simply didn't exist for me.
The job probably also didn't exist.
Yes.
In your mind.
And when I moved to St. Petersburg, I started thinking a little bit differently. And one day I tired of being a journalist, and I wanted to try something new. I wanted to change my life dramatically. And I started thinking, what can I do? I was thinking about different jobs, different perspectives. Then one day I thought, okay, I like people, I enjoy working with them, I like traveling, I have good health conditions, I'm not afraid of flying, so why don't I go to aviation and start my career there?
So it was coming from within.
It was coming from within. It was an inner power which gave me the impulse to go to that job interview, to take that job interview, and to start a new life in Moscow.
Actually, take a new job. I feel it's so powerful, because a lot of people wait for some confirmation from the outside world. They wait for somebody to tell them, yes, you can do it, just start, just begin. They are looking for signs that will tell them that they're going in the right direction. They're looking for some coaching programs, some online courses, when in fact we as people, I think, need to learn to trust ourselves more in our intuition. And this is so powerful when you know deep inside that this is what you have to do. Then all the other people screaming that you don't need to do it, or saying that yes, you can do it, they don't matter, because you don't need those voices. You're very confident that you have to do it, because you just know it's your thing. You need to do it. And this is so powerful, and a lot of people don't have that, unfortunately.
I couldn't agree more. That is true, that we have to trust our intuition, our inner voice. And if we know deep down that this is exactly what we need to do and what we want to do, I believe it's necessary to take the first step and just go ahead and do that. You can always take the step back, by the way.
Yes, if it's your responsibility, you are responsible for taking a step forward or taking a step back. You can always say to yourself, well, it's not like I imagined, so let me retract. Right? You can always do that.
Right. For example, when I used to go to aviation school, before becoming a flight attendant,
you did your training there,
you need
right?
to do the training. A girl gave up after the training. She understood that it's simply not for her. And it's right that she understood it from the very beginning. Instead of signing the contract and flying 1 or 2 months and then understanding, okay, this is not for me, but I already owe money to this company. That is why I'm forced to stay here. Instead, she understood that, okay, I tried. It was an awesome experience, but I want to move back and I want to do something else.
With my life.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's your life.
And I also believe that unwanted advice is not the thing we should consider. It's like, I don't like nor to give advice nor to receive advice, because when I'm doing something, I already know what I'm doing. And I already thought about that thousands of times. And when someone just comes up and says, don't do that, it's bad for you, whatever, this is my advice for you, I try not to be rude to people. I would say, okay, thank you for advice, I'll bear it in mind, but deep down I will think, okay, I don't need that, thank you, stay away from me.
Yeah, it's really like when you know what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Yeah.
All these voices from the outside, it's not like yeah, they can be annoying, or they can mean nothing actually, because you don't need them. You don't depend on them.
Everybody has their own opinion, but it doesn't
Yeah.
mean that we have to consider those opinions.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't need to. We don't have to accept somebody else's opinion. Yeah, they might have their own opinion. It might be good for them. Yeah, I agree with you. And I want to ask you about this choice that you have to make every time you decide to change your career, because you've done it many times in your life. Is it a simple choice, or is there a lot of emotional pain involved? Because I know that many people go through this. They have a lot of regrets, and they have a lot of doubts and insecurities and hesitance, meaning, yeah, I've dedicated so many years to this career, I've learned so much, and does it feel right to give everything up and to start doing a completely new thing? Were these decisions simple for you and easy for you to make?
It might sound funny, but for me it was always easy because I'm a spontaneous person. Sometimes I just wake up in the morning and say, okay, let's go ahead and do that. It doesn't mean that I'm doing stupid things just because I have that idea in my mind. But, when something comes from inside and deep down I know it's right, I just dedicate my life to that. And it doesn't mean that I cannot take the step back and going back to journalism, for example. I still can go back to journalism if I want. But when I decided to change my career, it already involved a lot of thoughts, a lot of struggle. When I take the decision, it's already
a weighed decision.
It's already the strong decision, which I'll never give up on that.
Okay, never. Never.
Well, never say never. You're right, but it never happened to me that I go back to something.
So you mean you keep the doors open?
That's right. Like, for example, now I'm a flight attendant, but it doesn't mean that tomorrow I'll not decide, okay, I want to go back to journalism. I still can do that. And there is nothing bad about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember you told me that story of how you made a decision to learn English, or to improve your English. Can you tell that again? Because it was a powerful story where you just woke up with this idea. I think that's a pattern in your life, right? You just wake up with ideas about how you should change your life.
I don't know why it always happened to me. But this is true. One day I just woke up with that idea that I want to move abroad. And I already knew the country I want to go to.
Where did you want to go?
I wanted to go to United States. I still don't know why. I still don't believe it's just an inner idea, because I was never a fan of Hollywood movies or any kinds of movies. I'm indifferent to movies.
Had you traveled to America before you came up with that idea?
No. Okay. I've never been abroad at that time. So I just decided that I need to move abroad. Maybe I can come back to Russia after some time, but now I want to move abroad. The second thought was, is my language level enough to move abroad, to work there, to live there, to be one of the local residents? Is that enough, what I have? That was not enough. I had the school intermediate English level, and I wanted to become better. I started Googling some language schools, and I chose the language school called English First. And the funny thing is that my motivation was so strong, so powerful, that I had to take the bank loan. Just to let you know, my rent was half of my salary.
Back then, right?
Yes. So some extra loan, extra payment was heavy for me. But my motivation was so strong. I said, okay, I'll eat bread and onion and drink water, but I'm going to learn English. Doesn't matter what's going to happen. And I've spent amazing 2 years in that language school. I still remember my daily routine when I used to wake up early in the morning, go to work, then in the evening, I used to take the metro, go to the language school, and I used to take naps in the metro because it was such a long way. I used to take coffee and sit in front of the monitor doing my online tasks. And after that, I had some classes with native speakers, with my teachers. And this was so inspiring. This was so motivating, so rewarding that I didn't feel tired. I just felt full of power, full of energy. And go back there, I would say that this was my best investment in myself. I never regretted that I took that bank loan.
So you started from intermediate, and how many courses did you do in that school?
From intermediate, I went to advanced. So it was intermediate, upper intermediate, and advanced.
Did you feel like you wanted to stay there and do something else? Were there any other options?
There was another option of going to upper advanced. I don't know what does that mean, but they had that course. But I decided that I wanted to do something more specific. And that is why I attended your public speaking course, as I remember it.
Oh, yeah. My courses are not about English, exactly. They're about communication skills. What you just mentioned, reminded me of my own experiences in Germany. It's funny how you see a reflection of yourself in other people's stories. After I finished my master thesis, my professor also told me, you should write a doctorate, you should do your PhD. You're going to write such a good thesis. I was like thinking to myself, probably, yeah, she's right. I'm going to write a good thesis because I wrote a good master thesis. And I started, doing the math in my head, and it's 3 more years at the university. And I had already spent 7 years in academia. And I was like, 3 more years. And as you said, I could do more, but I felt like I wanted to go to the real world and do something. I just felt like that was enough. I just need to go and work. I need to do something. And I started working when I was 16, but at that time when I thought of the word work, I meant career. I need to start a career. I need to start doing something deliberate, something that I'm meant to do. And when I moved to Germany, I had spent 5 years there. My first year was dedicated to improving my German. I was in a language school every single day. I had an incredible routine, if I think about it back then, and I'm still convinced that having a routine is important to get things done and to be productive. And as you said, I was never feeling tired. I had to wake up at 6 in the morning because I was an au pair. I had to make breakfast for the kids, take them to school, do some house chores, do some other things, do the lessons, attend classes, then go to the language school.
Wow.
I was back home by 11 p.m. and then the next morning I was supposed to wake up at 6 again. It was this cycle, never-ending cycle, and I never felt tired. And it's incredible how much I was able to get done. And now when I think about it, I believe that productivity is a product of inspiration. It's not a product of planning. I didn't really plan my language learning journey back then, but I was so inspired. I knew what I was doing. I knew why I was doing that. And I was inspired by my own results as well. So when you are inspired, everything you do is effortless.
Yeah, you're right on that. I really agree with you. For me, learning always takes time and takes a lot of effort.
Yeah, for everyone.
It's like, you don't come to the language school and you don't get the advanced certificate right now after 15 minutes of the session with a native speaker. It's simply impossible. You need to take time. You need to dedicate time to that process of learning. It's not like you are a shoemaker. You manufacture the shoe, you make the shoe, and here it is. Here is the immediate result of your working process.
But even shoemakers, this immediate result is probably the product of 3 years of work.
Right.
Yeah, she wants attention.
You're right on that, and I still believe that productivity, as you said before, is the matter of inner inspiration. If you're not inspired, if you don't know why you're doing something, you'll get tired not immediately, but after some time you'll get tired.
Yeah,
you'll
true.
get exhausted, and you'll say, why am I doing that? It's like, some people might think, okay, I need English. Why do you need English? Because everybody knows English and everybody speaks it, and I don't want to be worse than them. And this motivation, this could be, productive for you for some time, but on the long run, it could be exhausting for you.
People don't even consider what it means in the long run. They see it as a finite goal. They don't even how long is long.
Like you get the certificate. Okay, now I'm advanced.
For the rest of my life.
Yes, and now I'll stop. It doesn't work that way. Learning is a continuing process.
It doesn't work not only because you have to continue learning, but because if you stop using a skill, you lose it. So if you got an advanced certificate, you might be an advanced level student at this point of time. But if you don't do anything with your English skills for the next year, maybe you're not an advanced level student any longer. Yeah, coming back to this public speaking course, exactly. So you had your advanced certificate, but why did you come to join the public speaking course?
Oh, that's an interesting story.
Okay.
Remember, first we started with private sessions when you helped me to work on my presentation for conferences. And the same year you just wrote a message for me on WhatsApp, would you like to join a public speaking course? I thought, okay, sure, I would like to do that. I want to...
Another spontaneous impulse, right?
As always. Looks like everything in my life is spontaneous. But
even this interview, by the way.
Okay. That's right. When you wrote to me that you want to see me as a guest, this was like decision. Yes, of course, I'm coming. And when I came to your public speaking course, I thought it's going to be completely different. Like we would learn how to use powerful language, use powerful poses.
You mean powerful body language?
Yes, we will learn powerful body language, but instead it was such a different thing. First of all, it was personal. No teachers in my life asked me what makes my heart sink, or with no teachers we thought about who we are, and I didn't even think that active listening is so important. Usually when we present, we focus on speaking.
Yes.
We always focus on giving a powerful speech, which will knock everybody down.
Impress everybody.
Yes. But instead, what I learned from your course is that listening is even more important. And what was really rewarding to me is the idea of being understood.
Yeah, you should move closer. She's curious.
Yeah.
I think that it's a basic human need, actually, to be understood.
Yeah. It's like when I attended my first international conference in Bangkok, I was so stressed out. I thought, why those people will even listen to me? Who I am. I'm just a simple Daria from Moscow who doesn't know a lot of stuff. And I thought that even if I come to the person to try small talk, they'll turn around and go away. I don't know why.
Did they?
No.
They didn't do that, you see.
Actually, this event helped me to boost the self-confidence. And when I gave my presentation, when I gave my speech, I realized how important is it to be understood. I saw audience listening to me attentively, understanding me, and asking a lot of questions. Some speakers are afraid of questions. They just, get stressed and think, okay, what should I do? What should I answer? I don't know what to answer. I believe that a question is a marker that a person listened to you and a person wants to know better about the subject you're speaking about. And I was happy that a lot of people asked a lot of questions.
Yeah, it means they were interested.
Yeah, and it means that I was understood. And this is exactly what I learned from your public speaking course.
Is that the biggest takeaway? that you can be, or you should be understood, or you can be understood?
I think yes. I think this was the biggest takeaway from your public speaking course, and also the thing about listening. As I said before, I was not focused on listening. I was only focused on myself, being a little bit egoistic. But instead, communication is a given and taken thing. And for the reasons to speak, you need to listen first.
Do you use it in your job though?
Definitely.
Yeah. Because I think people you need to listen to a lot of people on the plane.
Definitely. People like to talk, and people like to talk about themselves.
Always.
And I understood with this job that the sweetest sound for the person's ear is the sound of their name. Like Dale Carnegie said.
Yeah.
That is true. Before I didn't believe that. I thought it's just, some stuff I can't relate to. But on the contrary, if I address to the person with his name, I just see he's changing toward me. He's
attentive.
Yeah, he becomes more open, and he thinks, yes, he really cares what is my name, and he really cares about me as a person.
He or she.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And what do you think is the most important? Because we're talking about relationship now.
Yeah.
We're having a relationship with everybody and everything here. You're having a relationship with your passengers when you fly. You have a relationship with your company. You have a relationship with this little cute creature here, with the environment. What do you think you have learned about relationships with people? Is there anything that you deem as important, especially if we talk about understanding and feeling understood, and considering that maybe what we see is not everything, just what we were saying at the beginning of this interview. Maybe there's something else. Maybe a person is intentionally hiding this something else, and maybe a person doesn't feel that they're free to express this something else. I think I always keep this in mind, that what I see right now might be not everything that I'm able to see. And if you only see with your eyes, you definitely don't see everything. You have to look not just with your eyes to see everything. Have you learned anything about a relationship that you think is worth sharing?
To start with, I would like to say that we should always be sincere with people. And
that's interesting you say that. As flight attendants, aren't you trained to be insincere? Even if you don't feel like being nice, you have to be nice. No?
Let me clarify.
Okay.
A lot of flight attendants do exactly the same thing you just mentioned. But for me, it's a little bit different. It might sound awkward, but I really like my passengers. And even with this short time we are together, I try to build a sincere relationship. Like, for example, our senior flight attendants wrote some scripts for us how to react if a passenger asks for something, or if he's rowdy, if he's not pleased with the service you're giving them. But I still believe that the best answer to the question is your inner answer. I always
to any question, to a complaint, you mean, right? When they complain.
To a complaint, yes, or to, I don't know, when he or she just wants to talk about something. I always try to dedicate some time to every single passenger, even if there are a lot of passengers and I'm super busy.
And you're not talking about business class passengers, or both?
I'm currently working in business class.
So you're talking about giving your attention to everybody in the business class, right?
Well, I'm currently working in business class, so this is what I can relate to. But, even on the long haul flights, we are super busy. It's not like we gave the service and we're taking the rest, drinking coffee, and that's it. We have thousands of things we have to do,
I can imagine. It's a big plane. A lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people. And I try to make the passenger feel that he's not abandoned and I'm there for him or her.
Mm-hmm.
And if they need something, I'm there for them.
Mm-hmm.
I can give it to them right away. Of course, if he or she doesn't violate the rules
Mm-hmm.
and they don't ask me, where can I smoke? For
Mm-hmm.
sure, this I cannot give. But to give an extra cup of tea or coffee, to give a blanket, to have a small talk, why not?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take anything away from you. It's just, your sincere impulse that...
As they say, right? It doesn't take a lot to be kind.
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot to be kind.
Yeah,
And
true.
it doesn't take a lot to be sincere. And it doesn't take a lot to smile and to make a person feel welcomed.
Coming back to the question of routine and other multiple passions and interests that you have, I think you carry this attitude throughout everything, right? Sincerity, being nice, either, it doesn't matter what you do, gymnastics, because this is just how it is, I can relate absolutely. You can't say, oh, I'm going to be nice when I do my job and I'm going to be a monster when I do it. Your personality is in everything that you do. But how do you combine now all these other jobs? Maybe it's a question, and maybe I think what I really want to ask is, how do you find the time for all your passions? Because we were just talking about the routine. And when I remember my first year in Germany, I think I did so much. I was crazy busy. However, I was very productive. And after 30, people start saying, because of course they have family, they have children, they have new responsibilities. But people start gravitating towards doing less because they understand they can't have so many passions anymore, so they have to make a choice. You're still doing a lot. 3 jobs, right? And not because you need the jobs, because you feel like you want to do these things. How do you organize your time so that you have time for all the things?
Well, going back to the age, I'm 31 and I still have power to be productive. So I believe that it's not a matter of age, it's the matter of personality. How do I combine all those jobs? To be honest, my worst nightmare is to have an office job from 9 to 6, from Monday to Friday, and have 2 days off. This is my worst nightmare. With this, I feel super unproductive. I used to work in the office when I used to be a press secretary, and this was bad.
The job that you are doing for many people is impossible because you have to wake up at different times during the day. Like, you don't have any routine. You don't even have a sleep routine. You change your time zones. Like, you just came back yesterday from a city where it's a completely different time zones. You were 7 hours ahead of me when we had this call, and it's just crazy. And do you feel jet lagged right now?
Right now, no.
Okay, good.
This interview gives me an extra power that I can use.
But you often jet lagged, I can imagine. And for many people, it's just the most stressful job ever.
This is not a problem for me. Honestly, I am jet lagged every time I go away from my time zone, every time I have the time difference. But it's not a problem for me. I might not sleep at night, then I do the flight during the day, then I come home, maybe I'll give a lesson to my student. By the way, I'm an English teacher for kids. I didn't mention that before, I think.
I think you did. Yeah, you did. Very briefly.
Yes, and maybe I'll go to sleep earlier. Like, I'll fall asleep around 8 p.m.
So you organize your routine accordingly. So you're very flexible with that.
I am flexible.
I really admire people like yourself who achieve great English skills all by themselves. It's not like they went to a special school, they were not, they didn't have private tutors, but they really achieved this on their own because they felt the need and the urge to do that. And what I like is that you don't quit. You don't stop practicing. You continue. If you could give some advice, well, I know you just said you don't like to give unsolicited advice, but if you could share what has helped you to stay true to the course and to continue improving. I think a lot of people are looking for this kind of motivation, or maybe they need this message. how do I find this inspiration to keep going, to continue? Because let's be honest, your English is good enough to do your job. And many people find themselves in this position. I already have good English skills. I don't really need to do more. I'm not going to lose my job if I don't speak, if all my sentences are not grammatically correct. I'm not going to lose my job. I can even maybe find a better and more well-paid job. I'm going to close those deals. My investors are not going to say no to me just because I made a grammatical mistake. So a lot of people feel content with their English skills, which I think is good. And they want to do more, but they can't really find the answer to the question why I need to do more. Have you found this for yourself?
I still think my English is not perfect. I'm still learning, and
mine isn't perfect.
And I don't stop learning. And maybe deep down, I'm still insecure. Is my English good enough to talk to native speakers, to travel abroad, to do some routine in English? Sometimes I think, isn't that enough what I have? Maybe this gives me motivation not to stop. I still want to keep on learning. If I can give an advice, I would say never choose an online school where there is like a moving conveyor belt of students and teachers. When you think that you'll get a super professional teacher, but instead, I used to work as such an online English school, and it was an interesting experience, but I still believe this is not the way people should learn the language.
You mean that there's a huge turnover of teachers, right?
Yes.
And teachers are not professionals.
And not only that, just to let you know how the system works, when they hire you, they say, okay, here is the presentation, here are the slides, here is the script you need to follow, and here is the program. So basically, you are not creative.
So I was saying, you act as a talking head, pretty much. That's what you need you for. What they need you for.
You act as a talking head, right? And this is the script, and you just need to follow the script. No creativity, no passion, no heart to put into that learning process. And sometimes students just get tired of that process. They consider that this is not individual. That's just the like I said, moving conveyor belt.
There is no individual approach. Is that what you mean?
No individual approach. Yes, and if you need to to choose the teacher, I would go better with a private tutor, or even the language school as I used to attend, like English First. It's not a publicity though. I'm talking.
We're not paid for that, no.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I think you mean you just need to find a way to organize your time so that you're actually learning something and you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
It can be, when you say go to a language school, you mean actually attend real classes, not online classes, right? Like talk to real people. Is that what you mean?
Not exactly. It could be online, but first of all, your teacher should be professional, and they should work with you individually. They should adapt to your needs, to your knowledge. It's not like, you have the script and you just follow the script. This is not how it has to be. And if you're an English learner, always think, why are you doing that? Always remember your motivation. Try to find that motivation. If you feel powerless, maybe take 1 or 2 days of the pause and then go back to the learning, because
so it's okay to take breaks, right?
It's okay to take breaks unless you don't stop forever.
As I like someone said, like, it's okay to miss a day. If you decided to organize your routine, it's okay to miss a day. Yeah. Just make sure you don't miss a second day.
We're not robots.
Yeah, we're not robots.
We have different circumstances. We have, some family issues, some working issues. It's normal, and it doesn't mean that you have to go to English classes every single day.
My key word is joy. I believe that we really need to find something that brings us joy, and learning is a very natural process. when somebody organizes your learning process for you, it's good, it's great, it's professional service very often. But learning is a natural process. Even now, we're just talking, but I'm learning a lot of things about myself, about my experience. I'm reflecting on my experience. And this motivation should always come from within. Learning comes from a student. It's a natural process, and it's a natural power that every student has. So thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you so much too. I enjoyed it really.
Yes.
I really enjoyed it.
Okay, guys, we really need to get going, and we're off to the kitchen now to bake something, because it actually is a baking party. We just decided to do a conversation right before it. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions for Daria, if you want to leave a comment, please write your questions or comments in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.